Today's session is a bit different from the previous two sessions because instead of doing a deep dive into a Facebook feature like a page or a group, etc., we're going to be planning our Facebook advertising. The first two sessions were about looking at the various features that Facebook provides you as an advertiser. And today we're going to look at how do you plan your advertising before you dive in and start spending money on Facebook. Now, Facebook is in the business of providing advertisers like you and me opportunities to advertise so that they make money. And therefore, they give you a lot of opportunities on the Facebook platform to advertise. You can advertise a post, you can advertise an event, you can have various variations of the kind of advertising you can do on their platform. But not all of them are efficient. So first, I'd like to share with you the mistakes that beginners make when they start using the Facebook advertising platform, and then we look at what actually should be done. So without further ado, let's look at what beginners try to do. Beginners try to first advertise on Facebook through an ad or through boosting a post. Normally, through boosting a post, and they want to take traffic from Facebook directly onto their website. They could have an e-commerce site, and they want people to move from Facebook to this site and buy their products. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work. They do manage to get traffic. The traffic comes to the site and clicks off or bounces away. And bounce rates in this kind of model are very high, in the high 90s. And then they scratch their head and wonder, why isn't that Facebook traffic buying their product? And they come to this conclusion after a couple of attempts that Facebook advertising doesn't work. Now, to the contrary, Facebook advertising works really well if you understand certain basics and you are aware of certain missing pieces in this model. Because what you're seeing right now on your screen are just 2 parts of a 4 to 5 part model. And these are the 2 extremities of the model. Now, why is this model unsuccessful? Because when you look at what your audience is doing on Facebook, they're in a space of mindless entertainment. They're looking at pictures of young children, dogs, kittens. They want to be infotained. They want to catch up with friends, get the latest gossip, and even post their personal updates. Now, examine these 5 bullet points. Where do you see the need for the person to buy your product? Where in this are they looking for solutions to some of their troubles or problems they may be having? Nowhere. The point to remember is that your audience, irrespective of the kind of business you are in or I'm in, our audiences on Facebook are in an entertainment frame of mind. And keeping that in context, you've got to take them off Facebook to your site. Now, when they do come to your site, they will not be in the mood to buy because they don't know you. There's a high trust deficit. And therefore, there's certain phases which they have to go through. There's a journey they have to go through before they become mentally attuned to buying your product. So remember that Facebook advertising is intervention advertising. They are in a particular frame of mind, and you are intervening in that frame of mind to create awareness about your product, about your service, with the hope that they will come and buy it at some point of time in the journey from being just a cold lead to becoming warm traffic. Now, some of you may have heard of this model called the AIDA model, which is awareness, interest, desire, and action. All prospects, whether it is online or offline, follow this model. Whether it is buying a product in a retail store, let's talk about that for a moment. Let's assume there are 2 brands side by side in a high street location in a mall. One brand could be, let's assume it's Zara, and the other is an entirely unknown brand. And both of them have very nice shops. The products are well laid out. Where are you most likely to walk into? And if you're like most people, you'll probably make a beeline for Zara first. Why? Because you're aware of the brand. You may be interested in buying clothes, but because you're aware of Zara first, your trust factor with the brand is higher and you are aware of the brand rather than the brand right next door, and you're likely to walk into Zara first. So it all starts with somebody being aware of your product or your brand. And if they're not, the journey to making them a customer is that much harder. Next, after they're aware of your product, they have to be interested in becoming a lead with you. You have to spark some kind of interest for them to want to interact with you. And if that interest is not there, desire and action cannot follow. Let's assume that they're interested in interacting with your brand. You're providing them with some valuable information or some service that they are looking for. The next part is desire. They have to want to pay. They have to want to take action. In the engagement that you will have with them, even before you think about making a sale, they have to want to do something with your brand. So that's the desire part. And last is taking action, which is buying your product, buying your service. Remember that you cannot circumvent interest and desire. You cannot go from awareness straight to action. It's a journey. So beginners want to go from awareness to action. They want to go from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen, which is not possible. You have to nurture your leads. So now let's look at this model in a holistic way. On the left side is the advertising that you're doing on Facebook. Let's assume that you've really understood the Facebook model. You're creating crackerjack ads on Facebook, ads that your audience is clicking on, liking, sharing. When they click on the ad, they come to your website. Now your website is not your e-commerce website. That comes much later. They come onto what is called a landing page or a squeeze page, where you give them a chance to interact with your brand. In exchange for giving you their email address, you give them the following. You could give them free valuable content, video series, a series of webinars, a blog. They can sign up for your email newsletter. So all of that is very valuable free information that you're giving to them well in advance of asking them for a sale, to ensure that they start getting interested in your brand. So this goes out first. Once they start consuming this, it sparks a desire in them. You're addressing a pain point they have. You're addressing a hidden desire that they have to achieve a certain objective, and you continue to give valuable information. And all this time, what you're doing is nurturing that lead. Without nurturing a lead, it's impossible to make a sale. Now, a question that you may have is, how long does this nurturing take place for? That depends upon your category, the online savviness of your customers, and importantly, the product price or the service price. If it's a very high ticket product, your nurturing time could be a couple of months. If it's a very low ticket product, for example, if you're selling online trinkets or artificial jewelry, then your nurturing could be just about a week, 5 days, 6 days, whatever. So the duration of the nurturing depends upon, importantly, the product category you're in or you're selling, and depends upon the price. Price plays an important role in determining that duration of nurturing. Once the lead has been nurtured, then you take them to your website to complete the action and buy your product. Now, let me give you my example. So I follow pretty much the same model. On the left-hand side is the advertising that I do on Facebook. And I have ads which are running on Facebook throughout the day, 24/7, round the clock. And these ads target a certain demographic of job seekers, because my product is an online course that helps young job seekers with 0 to 10 years of experience learn how to find jobs. So I have ads on Facebook, and since my audience is on Facebook very often, there's a great fit between advertising on Facebook and my audience. Now, once people see the ad and click on it, it takes them to a free webinar on job search strategies. So they sign up, they register. When they register, I get their email address, and at their convenience, they can watch a fully automated webinar. It's a 1-hour webinar where I deliver a lot of value upfront that they cannot get from random videos on job search, interviews, etc. on YouTube. I deliver a lot of value upfront, but at the end of the video, I ask for a sale. Now, the reason I ask for a sale is because I know that a certain small percentage will go straight from the webinar and buy my product. This is in contrast or contradicts what I had said a couple of minutes back, that you have to nurture the lead. But I know that this happens, and therefore I ask for the sale immediately. At the same time, 95% of my audience doesn't buy. They come, they consume the webinar, and then they bounce off. However, since I have the email address, they go into a 2-month nurturing phase where, with their permission, I send out emails twice a week to them where they can consume small nuggets of really value-added information on job search for free. Over a span of 8 weeks, they get to know me, like me, trust me, and at the end of 8 weeks, I will ask them to buy my product. I will make the sales pitch. And a combination of the email series nurturing and the direct to site action is how I make sales through this funnel. So this is the funnel that I use, and it's a live example right now at the time of this recording, and it's a successful funnel. My point is that you can replace what I have done with anything here. It doesn't have to be a webinar. It could be a series of 3 videos which talk about your product. It could be a series of blog posts. It could be an email newsletter. But you have to place something here under the free webinar on job search strategies place to get them to give you their email address in exchange for something which is valuable for them. Then you've got to take that email address and nurture that lead over a period of time. And once it becomes a warm lead, you take them to your site to buy your product. Or you can, take them offline in case you have a consulting practice. Remember that traffic from Facebook or from any other site, especially Facebook, coming to your site or to your landing page is cold traffic. They don't know you from Adam or Eve. There's no trust between you and them at all. And therefore, this entire funnel takes time. It takes time for them to, go through the journey and start liking and trusting you. So keep this in mind. So this is another way of looking at the same funnel. And let's look at the image on the left. You've got to first attract your audience, and that can happen through multiple ways. I have found that for solopreneurs, for online entrepreneurs and offline entrepreneurs, the most effective, the most cost effective is Facebook. Facebook, and we'll see this in future lessons. Facebook allows you to laser target your audience by demographics, by interests, by where they live, etc. at a very competitive rate. And if you're starting off with PPC marketing or pay-per-click marketing, then Facebook should be your platform of choice. Once you have attracted them, once they click the Facebook ad, they have to come into this phase which is converting them. You give them an ebook or whatever you want. Give them something like, for example, I give them access to a 1-hour webinar and convert them into cold leads. At this time, they just don't know you yet, but they've given you the email address in exchange for something which you're giving them instantly. Now, so they're still cold leads, but they're now converted into a lead. So from a prospect, they're now into a lead. Next, they go into the nurture stage, which we have spoken about. And the nurture stage is about sending them emails over a period of time, and you warm up the lead and finally lead to a closure, which is the actual sale. So this is the funnel that every product follows. The duration of the funnel can be long or short, but every product or service follows this, because this funnel is based on human psychographics, on the way humans think. This, of course, here is roughly the same model that I'd spoken about, which I follow. Facebook advertising leading to a free webinar that you can see here, leading to a one-time offer. So I make an offer at the end of the webinar and I tell them that, guys, this offer will never come again. You will never be able to take me up on this offer if you don't buy it now. So a certain percentage of people buy it, and then over a period of time, I upsell and cross-sell other products to them. The revenue from my one-time offer and my upsells and cross-sells help me determine what is called LTV, which is the lifetime value of the customer, which is over a period of the life of a customer in my platform. How many times can I sell to him or her? How many products can I sell? So I can probably get them into this funnel with a low ticket product so that the friction on price is very low. And once they buy my first product and become a customer, it's 5 times easier for me to sell to them the second time. Always remember that it's 5 times easier to sell to a customer than to a prospect. So it's a good idea to get customers at low ticket prices. As long as there is an exchange of value in the form of money and the person becomes a customer, they start associating positively with the brand. And then a couple of weeks or months later, you can pitch them the actual product, the high ticket product that you have in mind. There is a saying in online marketing that the money is in the list. Your email list is what drives your entire business. If you have an email list, you will make money whether Facebook comes or goes, whether there's Google or not, because it's your warmed up list that is going to pay you for products and courses offline or online, whether it's digital products or offline products. The people on your list are going to buy them. So you have to have a reasonably robust way of building your email list. Let's just go back one slide. As people move through the journey of being attracted to your brand, converting, nurturing, and closure, you have to have their email addresses. Otherwise, how will you take them from one stage to another? How will you interact with them? Obviously, you cannot use Gmail because Gmail does not have what is called an autoresponder series. It does not send mail by itself automatically. And I think beyond 50 emails, you can't send a group mail. So therefore, Gmail is out of the question. You have to have what is called an ESP or an email service provider, which is the foundation of your entire funnel. Email service providers or ESPs are of two types. There is the legacy type, the type you may be familiar with like MailChimp or Aweber, Constant Contact. Now, all of them function on a format called lists. I would not recommend these, even though you may have been told that for up to 2000 leads, MailChimp is free. That is true, it is free, but it is free as a broadcast service and not with the autoresponder. What this means is that every time you want to write to those 2000 people, you have to create a mail and send it out. So it has its limited uses, but if you're actually building a business, you need a ESP which does a lot of automation for you. And as I'll just show you in a second, MailChimp doesn't do much of that. So coming back to list-based ESPs. So here's what happens. Let's take MailChimp as an example because you may be familiar with MailChimp as a brand. Let's assume that you have a product and you have a newsletter. Now I come to your site because I've seen your ad, I've clicked on it, I've come to your site, I sign up for the newsletter. So I automatically go into list 1 and you pay MailChimp. Once you go beyond the 2000 free email addresses, you pay MailChimp for the email address that I've given you because I'm now one lead in your system. A couple of weeks later, you run a webinar. So I attend the webinar because I've started liking your brand. When I attend the webinar leads go into a second list and my name goes in twice, and you will pay twice to MailChimp for the same lead. A couple of months later, you launch a product, I buy the product and I become a customer for that low ticket one-time offer. Now as a customer, I go into the customers list and now you will pay for the same lead for me 3 times to MailChimp. So MailChimp is a list-based system where depending on the number of lists, you pay. So if one lead is in all the lists that you have, you will pay 2, 3, 4 or 5 times. This is a very inefficient way of working, and it's a way by which prevents you from having multiple lists, or which gives you there's a lot of inflexibility in the system. So over a period of time, ESPs have emerged which have done away with the list-based system and are what are called tag-based systems. As you can see here, I've mentioned ConvertKit and ActiveCampaign are tag-based email service providers. These are email service providers which do not have lists. There's in fact only one list. And they tag email leads basis on what the email leads do. Let's go back to our original example. Let's assume that instead of MailChimp, you had ConvertKit, and actually even ActiveCampaign would do for the same example. Now, when I sign up for your email newsletter, I become your lead. When I sign up for the first webinar, I don't enter another list. A new tag is tagged to my email address. So you still pay for only one lead. When I attend the second webinar or become a customer of a product that you're selling, you're not paying 3 times or 4 times for the same lead. I just get additional tags tagged to my email address. And therefore you can see that with these ESPs, you pay once rather than with MailChimp, where you would pay 2 or 3 times the price of what you would pay on ConvertKit on ActiveCampaign. The second very important thing is that both of them are great for automation. Now, automation is beyond the scope of this lesson, but a broad overview is that it follows what is called if this then that philosophy. If a prospect or a customer does this, then send out email A. If a prospect or customer does that, then send email B. So basis rules, what are called rules, you can decide which kind of email you need to send to which kind of customer. While this may sound Greek and Latin to you right now, it is very essential as you build your business, because different kinds of customers are going to come to your site and behave differently on your platform. And you can't have a one-size-fits-all email which goes out to all of them, because the message would be very generic. So if you have customers who buy your product, you want a series of mails going out which are attuned to a customer. If you have prospects who come to your site and bounce away, and if you have the email addresses because of the fact that they signed up on a newsletter, then you need to address them differently. So basis how customers, prospects, leads behave with your system, with your site, with your landing page, your ESP should be able to talk to them separately. And both ConvertKit and ActiveCampaign can do that. However, if you're a beginner, I strongly recommend using ConvertKit. ConvertKit is based on the core philosophy of simplicity for beginners, and yet it has all the beginner automations that you require to have a rock solid ESP managing your business. So I will leave a link to ConvertKit, to ActiveCampaign after this lesson, below the video, and check out ConvertKit. Don't be fazed by the pricing. I think the pricing is about $29 a month for 500 leads. If you treat your business as a business, A, you need to have an ESP. B, if you have high quality leads, you will recover the cost of 500 leads from your sales in a matter of weeks. So go ahead, make a robust investment in a platform which is good. Treat your business as a business and not as a hobby. If it's a hobby, I won't recommend investing in an ESP, because an ESP does become expensive over time unless your ROI of your business is positive, and we'll talk about that later. But you will need an ESP, so I would recommend that you use ConvertKit first. And if you're a bit adventurous and you are tech friendly, then a great second option is ActiveCampaign. I have used both. I currently use ActiveCampaign, but I have very positive things to say about ConvertKit too. Now we're switching tracks a bit and we're moving to something called planning your matrices. How do you decide how much to spend on Facebook advertising? When Facebook says, Vikram, would you like to boost a post? Yes, I can put a budget, but how do I decide what should my cost per click be? And is it a number that is taken out of a hat, out of thin air? The answer is no. Before you start advertising on Facebook, you have to look at a set of numbers. Now, this is not glamorous. This is not the sexy part of Facebook advertising. But without this, you'll really flounder, because you won't know whether your advertising is working, is doing well. Can you afford the advertising, or should you shut it down, or should you ramp up? Now let's go ahead and take a look at these numbers. Now you'll see a series of numbers here, and I've color coded the numbers which are important. And really what you have to focus on are these two numbers here, and two numbers that will become apparent to you over time. So first is, what is the average order value of your customer? How much does your customer generate for you? So for an example, I'm assuming that the lifetime value of your customer is 1,000 rupees. Now it could be 1,000, it could be 5,000, a lakh. Only you know what is the lifetime value of your customer. So enter that here. Next is you've got to figure out the number above this, which is how much are you willing to pay to acquire this customer? So are you looking at a business which is a 2x business, which means you pay 1 rupee and you get 2 rupees back net of expense? Are you looking at a 3x business? What is the cost per acquisition that you want to pay Facebook to acquire? Remember that this cost here is only the cost of Facebook advertising. It excludes any other physical production costs that you may have, manufacturing costs, etc. So you got to figure this out. And this model works very well for digital products, and that's how we're going to use it. And you've got to see proxies of this and figure out how it works for your business. So let's assume that I'm willing to pay 500 rupees if I can get a customer, because my customer's lifetime value is 1,000 rupees. So if I invest 500, I will make 1,000 rupees revenue, and therefore my profit is 500 rupees and I'm a happy man. Next, over a period of time, so LP is landing page and SP stands for sales page. So LP conversion rate, what does LP conversion rate mean? It means at what rate does the landing page or squeeze page convert for you? When you buy traffic or you get traffic and you send them to a place where they can sign up for a newsletter, or where they can sign up to get a series of videos for free, any free content that you're providing them for that email address, that page is called your landing page. That's where your traffic lands. Now, and the second page is the sales page, which is basically your e-commerce site, or it could be a page where people pay their money to buy your product or service. Now, when you really start off with this model, you won't know what your landing page conversion rate is and what your sales page conversion rate is. And a good rule of thumb is to start with these numbers, that your sales page for free information would be around 20 to 40%. 40% is a great sales page landing page conversion. But to be on the conservative side, let's take 20%, which means 1 in 5 people coming to your landing page is going to sign up and consume your free content, sign up for your newsletter, etc. And then after they have been nurtured, after the entire nurturing has happened, when they come to your sales page to buy, you should assume that the sales page conversion will be between 1 and 3%. These may look like depressingly low numbers, but remember that online, in the internet game is a game of very large numbers. And for most categories, a good sales page will convert between 1 and 3%. So I've taken an average of 2% to start off with. Once you have 30 days of data, you can go back and change these numbers which are in the blue area to reflect the true numbers that you're getting. So let's go ahead with 20% and 2% here. Now, for the purposes of creating this model, assume that you want to get 100 customers. And it doesn't matter for this model whether it's 100 customers in 1 week, 1 month, or 3 months. But let's just assume that you want 100 customers. Now, if you get 100 customers, how much money do you make? Well, that's pretty simple. You multiply 100 by the average order value. So your average revenue, or your total revenue is 1 lakh. Okay, are you with me so far? What we have done is we have multiplied 100 with 1000 to arrive at a revenue of 1 lakh. Now, if you get a revenue of 1 lakh, we had seen earlier in the figures in green that we don't want a cost of more than half of our revenue. So if our revenue is 1 lakh, we can't spend more than 50,000 to generate that revenue. So now you realize that your Facebook marketing budget cannot be more than 50,000 rupees. All right, so we've got this figure also anchored into the ground. Now let's look at how many visitors do we require to come to our sales page to get the 100 customers. If you remember, I had spoken about the fact that we are creating this model for 100 customers. We know that our sales page converts at 2%. So 2% of some figure is 100 customers, right? So 2% of a figure is 100 customers. Therefore, 100 divided by 2% will give you 5,000 as the answer, which means that if I was to look at 5,000 visitors to my sales page and multiply it by 2%, I have 100 customers. Naturally, if your sales page conversion rate is different, this figure will start changing. So let's see this. Let me change this to, let's assume your sales page converts at 4%. Now just keep an eye on this number 5,000. Let's assume the sales page converts at 4%. You'll see instantly that the number of visitors now required is half, because your sales page is converting at double the rate to get the same number of customers. And if you take it back to 2%, you need 5,000 visitors to come to the sales page. So once you figured out that you need 5,000 people to come to your sales page, you've got to figure out how many people do you want coming to your landing page. And those people multiplied by 20% will give you the 5,000 number. We're doing exactly what we had done to arrive at the number 5,000 when we knew that 2% of 5,000 would give us 100 customers. Now 20% of some number is going to give us 5,000. So therefore what we do is 5,000 divided by 20% will give us 25,000. So we need 25,000 people to come to the landing page to get 5,000 people to hit the sales page. And let's just double check that. So 25,000 into 20%. So if I have 25,000 people coming to my landing page and 20% of them convert, I will have 5,000 people at a later date after the nurturing hitting the sales page. I hope you're clear on this. Now, since we know that people come to the landing page through our Facebook advertising, we've got to look at what is the maximum we can afford to get 25,000 people to come to the landing page. All you have to do now is divide your total budget by the total number of people in the landing page by this figure. So 50,000 divided by 25,000 gives you the figure 2, which means your cost per visitor to your landing page cannot exceed 2 rupees if you are operating on this number. If your average value is higher, if you're willing to pay more, then this number will change. If you want to generate more customers, that number will change. But just keep in mind that with all the assumptions that we have made, we now have an idea of what is the maximum you can pay Facebook to get a certain landing page visitor from Facebook. This is a very important model that you must follow, that you must figure out for your business. And I'll be happy to work with you in making you understand how this model works, because unless you know for your business what this number is, you won't be able to do manual bidding. When you get into Facebook advertising, you can do automatic bidding or manual bidding. And I am always in favor of manual bidding so that you get the best rates. But you won't know what that rate could be or should be for your business unless you go through these metrics and figure out, one is, how many sales page visitors do you need? Next, how many landing page visitors do you need basis the conversion rates here? How much are you willing to pay to acquire your customer? And all those metrics are going to give you the final grand metric of what should be the cost per landing page visitor. So I hope you enjoyed this session, because I certainly did putting this together. And what I'd like you to do is to go back and reflect on how your business is currently stacked up. If you're not doing Facebook advertising, it's great because you're starting from scratch. And if you have done advertising earlier, try to see if you were following the model I spoke about, which was essentially, are you following this model, or were you trying to move people from awareness straight into taking an action? In the next session, we're going to get into the specifics of Facebook advertising, but between now and then, I'd like you to figure out how are you going to use the AIDA model in your business so that you have not just the advertising chalked out, but more importantly, the nurturing of the lead well planned. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.